Begin transmission. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Outer Rim transmission number 32. I'm joined by the full crew tonight, Milton and Ben, and we have some big things to talk about. I hope you guys are excited about us because not only are we breaking down a brand new Star Wars live action trailer in the Book of Boba Fett, but we have two humongous rumors. We have a Darth Maul animated series that could be in the works as well. This literally broke like 10 minutes before we recorded. We have a possible Old Republic movie coming out in maybe 2023. Yes, I am not joking about that. So we're going to get into all those things tonight. How was your guys' Halloween, first of all?
My Halloween was good. I handed out some candy this year for the first time in a while, so it was good to just hand out some candy, see some kids, and just interact with people in the community. So it was good.
Yeah, that is nice, right? Because like last year was a little bit of a dud, I think, for most of us. And the fact that, we're actually having kids at the door again rather than like all the way out at the sidewalk. It's nice. Obviously it wasn't like it used to be back in 2019, but it was a much bigger step than the previous year. So how about you, Ben?
Yeah, my Halloween was pretty good as well. I didn't do too much just because we were in quarantine here with some family members having COVID. It was more just hanging out. And like I said, last week, hey, watched the original Halloween movie on the Halloween day, which was great. And yeah, it was just a really good chill weekend, watching shows and hanging out, watching football, and messaging you guys about Star Wars stuff like normal.
Heck yeah. So speaking of Halloween and Star Wars, me and my mother are watching some of those Hammer films from like literally the 1950s, which is really, really cool. And they just had like a marathon running. They had like The Bride of Frankenstein. Then they had Dracula. And I was absolutely shocked because I've always heard about this. I've seen like images online, but this one literally had Grand Moff Tarkin and Count Dooku in
Yep.
it. And I was
Yep.
just like, hold on a second. Christopher Lee in his prime, as well as, oh my gosh, what's the actor for Grand Moff
Peter
Tarkin?
Cushing.
Peter Cushing. That was really cool because Peter Cushing was, I guess, like the Van Helsing or like the vampire hunter. And then literally Christopher Lee was Dracula and they were like fighting at the end. And it was just like deja vu or something. It was so weird. But then obviously in the 50s, these guys were like in their 20s or something. It had to be at
Yep.
that point. It was a blast watching just a black and white movie. And even back then, it was really amazing to see like the kind of way the filmmaking was designed.
Oh yeah, well that was part of also part of Lucas's and the original design team for like Count Dooku's like inspiration, of that's why his get up looks like the way it does because it was inspired, kind of off Christopher Lee's old Dracula movies. So that's a little connection there.
Ah, okay,
Yep.
okay. So
Nice,
yeah.
nice, nice.
Yep. Yeah, because think about it that way. Like, if you look at Dooku, like he's in black with the long cloak. He has that, just a Dracula look at him, give him Dracula fangs, and
Mm-hmm.
he's good to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that was a blast. And I went over to my sister's place. I wore my Mandalorian helmet. That was a whole lot of
Nice.
fun. Like my nephew's 2 years old. Like we were asking him like, who's Uncle Chris? Who's Uncle Chris? And he goes, astronaut. I was just like, wow, I didn't even know he knew how to say that word but that was pretty good. I was like, he's not wrong. I mean, I'm flying around in a ship with a little alien. Yes, I am an astronaut.
Yeah, technically they are astronauts in Star Wars if you look at it that way.
So that was a blast. I have yet to introduce them to Star Wars, but they know me. They know of Star Wars just by me through
Yeah.
osmosis. Like they're always like, "Oh, he's got Star Wars shirts or something like that." So
Right.
it's always a blast. One of these days, I'm gonna sit down with them and watch probably A New Hope. We'll see. But man, oh man. So you guys have any Star Wars things or Halloween related Star Wars things at all this week?
Not this week. Honestly, this has been actually a week of me having a lot of real life stuff to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not compared to last week when I talked about those opening crawls that I wrote years ago. So really
Yeah.
no Star Wars this week for me.
Yeah, for me, nothing too crazy. More of just more of like the real world discussion of like Star Wars movies and movies in general, like just fans you know, it's just a continuing theme when it comes to movies. Like fans like needing to like allow other fans to like have opinions. Like you shouldn't have to, because there's been like a lot of mixed reactions to Eternals, and that
Yep.
also brought up the discussion I noticed about The Last Jedi a little bit. And the thing is, when it comes to stuff like that, like even if people like or dislike those films, that's cool and all. But the thing is, us as fans just have to remember, like we can't, you shouldn't have to make an
Hmm.
excuse as to why you like or dislike a movie. Like you should be able to say, I don't like it because of this, or I like it because of this, without saying, I have to defend my point because if not, I'm going to get roasted on Twitter. So,
Oh yeah.
it's just, it's a, it's good seeing a bit of the discourse. Like people were like getting into like debates and discussions about Eternals and Last Jedi again. But the good thing is like it's getting to a point now, I feel like anyways, where people are getting into that more mindset of like, hey, like let's discuss it versus just turn into name calling. So it's good that it's progressing that way. But I still feel like we're still a ways to go before we get to a point where people can just have opinions without like having battles.
Yeah, actually, I went literally through the same thing earlier today, so it's great they bring that
Yeah.
up, Ben, because yes, I was one the seen Eternals last night, opening night. Wasn't a fan. You guys can check out my review, and I'll explain as much as I could coherently about why I didn't like the movie. But yeah, I went into different Twitter posts. And I was like, hey, I didn't like it for this, this, and this, and somebody else like tweeted and like, no, it has this and this, and then in my head, I was starting to get defensive, and I was like, wrote back like, well, this, and this, and then they wrote back, and it was like a thread, but nothing was escalating, but like in the back of my mind, I'm like, why am I getting bothered by this? Like, I'm just saying why I didn't like the movie, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's almost like a nugget sometimes I feel like where it's like, no one could like this movie because in my mind, it's not good for these reasons, but then I'm thinking and taking myself out of it, like, well, people can enjoy the movie, like it for the reasons they can interpret, right? There's an
Yep.
interpretation for everybody's thing on artwork and everything in that respect because it's all subjective. And then I was just
Mhm.
like, after a while I was just like, it only went back nobody got angry with each other, but after a while I was like, I kind of just was like, admitted, I was like, you know what, to each their, I literally said like, to each their own. I wish
Yep.
I enjoyed the movie as
Right.
much as you did apparently, but I didn't. And I kind of
Yeah.
just dropped it there. And that, that's so that's how it is. It's like you get into that, I get into that biased attitude sometimes where I'm just like, I wish it was good, or it's not good because that reason. But yeah, it was a good discussion, but I was able to do that myself to be like, okay, calm down a little bit and just talk about it this way.
Yep. Oh, 100%. And another quick thing, like on being open-minded about people's opinions and things like that. I want to give like a big shout out to like John Carlos Esposito this week because he was at a convention, and us as Star Wars fans, we know the whole thing that happened with Gina Carano, and we don't have to rehash all of that. But the good thing is with John Carlos Esposito, the reason I would say give him a shout out is his comments that he made at his convention he was at. He basically said he loved working with Gina Carano and really enjoyed it, and he didn't care about her political views whatsoever because basically he was there to do a job and act with another actor. Like he wasn't going to bring the off, as we say in sports, like the off the field issues onto the set. So shout out to him because he was open minded enough not to just shut her out just because he may have differing views from her. He still was a professional enough to still get the job done, and he
Right.
does an amazing job with it. Like his interactions with Cara Dune are great. Like, um,
Mm-hmm.
so big shout out to John Carlos Esposito for being a good example for the fandom. I think honestly, like that clip of him talking at that convention, it went viral and it was all over the place. And I think it's a really good example for Star Wars fans because he's a beloved actor now in the Star Wars universe, and his points that he made make sense. Like it's not like it's far out there to say, "Hey, I'm being a professional." Basically, like people can look at that and go, "Yeah, that makes sense." So like, hats off to him for doing that this week.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool story for sure. Just,
Yeah,
voice it, voice the support of your cohorts. It's just important to do as far as, hey, this person, they deserve props. They're doing
yeah,
their craft, right? So it's good to give accolades out.
yep,
But yeah, so that is basically right off the top. I don't want to keep you guys waiting too long. I know the title says it all. We're here for the Book of Boba Fett breakdown, but of course, before we get into it, just a little bit of business is needed. So, of course, you guys listening, you can always watch us on YouTube live, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, Fridays, and you can always watch us after the fact on the VOD on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and check us out on audio format. We have everything available through Spotify, Apple Music, Google Music, all of that, and make sure you just search Outer Rim Transmission. We also do have a t-shirt shop on teespring.com. You can go there and just search Outer Rim Transmission, and it should pop up with our various options there. For this week in Star Wars, we have 2 new releases, and they both are pretty large because they end the War of the Bounty Hunters series that has been going on literally since May. So it's been almost 6 months time, or actually I think it is just about 6 months time of a crossover. We have Bounty Hunters issue number 17. Byler and Valance is actually alive, but now it's Vader that has him in his grasp, and now Vader wants him to work for him. So that's interesting there, because we thought he was dead for sure. And then we have Star Wars 18, and that was the biggie. This is the issue where Leia actually meets with Kira aboard the Millennium Falcon. Remember, guys, this is set between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So Leia coming face to face with Kira, and basically Leia just wants to kill her, right? Leia, because Kira is just in charge of all this mayhem with Crimson Dawn's resurgence and everything that she's playing with all these different factions, including the Empire. But Kira claims that she's on the side of Leia, and Kira actually offers help to Leia to get Vader, or to get Han out of Jabba's palace. So it's actually up to Kira that actually reveals the information that Han is actually alive in carbonite, because the last that Leia and Chewbacca see Han, he's floating through the Executor hull breach and towards the planet. So she thinks he's a goner. But apparently Boba Fett actually gets to him and brings him back to Jabba's palace. So Leia, like, she's at rock bottom at the beginning of this issue. She thinks that Han is dead. Same thing with Chewie. They are like, just, she's literally lost all hope, which is very much unlike Leia, who's the one who's usually bringing up hope for everybody else. So it's interesting because at this point of the story, at the end of this issue, Leia just basically said, okay, well, Han Solo is probably pretty safe now that he's actually in Jabba's palace. So I'm going to actually focus my attention on the rebellion's needs, because they have to deal with this Commander Zara, who is this protege of Grand Moff Tarkin, and they are completely disrupting everything with the Rebel Alliance. So she's going to put Han on the back burner, and the reason why she doesn't actually arrest Kira, because she could have right then and there, is because Kira promises that she's going to be the key she needs to basically get Han out of Jabba's palace eventually. So she's kind of like, Kira has leverage, and that's what's really cool about Kira and the way she's written in this Crimson Dawn trilogy that's going to be taking place, is that, you know, she is always one step ahead of everybody, and coming up from Corellia, from being a scum rat, growing up with Han, working for Lady Proxima, she has developed those skills as a businesswoman. As if you there's that Most Wanted book, which I really recommend. I think it's by Ray Carson, I believe. No, Mira Lafferty, I think, is the writer of that one. A great young adult novel about Han and Kira on Corellia, and it shows basically how she has developed those skills, and we see them develop, you know, way later in life, where she literally took control and seeded this Crimson Empire throughout like the entire galaxy. So this story definitely ended off with a bang. More of the Bounty Hunters in general, just my quick synopsis, my quick recap of that is just, hey, look, like, it was a lot of fun, but I think it was way too long. I think there was way too many comics that tied in. I feel like it could have been a really good miniseries, and it was a good miniseries because they had the good miniseries, but then every other comic out in Star Wars basically had to have some connection to it. So there was like 34 issues total if you want to get like every single issue, and some of the issues were literally like rehashes of a previous issue of another series. So it felt like, okay, we're getting a lot of crossover, actually too much crossover with some of the same images, just in a different perspective, like the same story points. So overall, happy it exists, but you know, you could probably just get away with reading the miniseries when it comes out in a trade paperback and not have to read like the other 20 something issues, and you'll be just fine. But yeah, so expect that to come out, and then we have come out in a collected form in a couple months. And we have Crimson Reign, which is the follow up to this. It's going to follow Kira directly, coming up in December. So that's our recap on everything that came out this week. Yeah, do you guys have anything to say about that big story point with Leia and Kira meeting, by the way?
Well, I
Go ahead,
think
Ben.
all right. I think with Leia and Kira meeting, it's interesting, just for like, potential future implications of Kira's character into the into this overarching storyline of like potentially like the Mandoverse, especially we'll get into the Mando stuff with Book of Boba later or in here in a few, but I think it's just more interesting for like future implications. It is cool though that they met like Han's two like love interest basically. Like that is cool. I like that type of a connection. Yeah, it's just really neat. And when it comes to me, like I didn't read like all the War of the Bounty Hunter stuff. Like I just looked into the things like your reviews and other people's spoiler reviews and things like that. But I mean, even me, for someone who's not reading it, like I know it's hard to critique something I haven't read, but it does, like, just from an outsider's perspective, like it seems almost like intimidating for someone to get into because it feels like this comic run has been going on for forever, honestly. We see like War of the Bounty Hunters, it's been going on, it feels like, for months and months, like and to me that's just like intimidating as a potential reader wanting, getting into things, because it's like, man, like where do I start? Like this is a lot of stuff to read versus, like you said, Chris, a mini series or something like that. So like it is kind of daunting when you look at it like that. If you're not reading it week to week when it's coming out, looking back on something like that, it's hard because it's like, man, that is a lot to read, So overall, I'm not a big fan of any book series or things like when it's that daunting. Like going back on it and reading, that's really hard to do. Like even in the old Legends books, like the Yuzin Vong series, like that's like 25 books long. That is
my gosh.
It's a big story. It's amazing. It's very amazing, but it's like 25 books long. And me being someone who's read them before, that's intimidating if I want to go back and start that again, because that is a lot of books. So again, like I said, it's a little much for me, but overall, I think it's a good story from what I've interpreted from most of the War of the Bounty Hunter comics, like things that I've read, like the spoilers, things like that, the reviews, whatever, just the synopsis and things. Like I like the little connections with just different characters, Boba Fett, Vader. I really liked Vader with the what's his name in episode 9. The orgy stuff.
Ochi Bassoon.
Oh, the guy.
OG stuff. I like that stuff a lot. I like that stuff a lot. I really like that stuff a lot, actually. I think, see, those are the type of connections like we talked about in our episode 1 review. I don't like C-3PO being built by Anakin, but I like Vader meeting with like Orchi and then that kind of connecting into episode 9. Like I like that because it's subtle and not so in your face. Like that is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean that's like kind of my thoughts on War of the Bounty Hunters. I do think it has future implications though for the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandoverse moving forward though.
Oh yeah, we will definitely get to that in
Right.
soon later on.
I was gonna just say, like, do you think this particular comic was even necessary? Like, I know it ties into some stuff, but do you think that we could have done without it, Chris? I mean, because you've read all of them thus far.
I wouldn't say we could do without it. I say there could be some fat trimmed. I think that the purpose of this is just for the reveal of the Crimson Dawn. I mean, it's weird, right? Because it's called War of the Bounty Hunters, but I never got that vibe that like the bounty hunters were all fighting each other like every week. Like, yeah, sure, you had like Byron Valance and Dengar, then you had Bosk, and you had you had IG-88. So like all the bounty hunters were around, but you didn't really see them like fighting in like a huge battle or anything like you would expect like week to week. It was more or less like, okay, the reason why this story exists is it shows us how embedded the Crimson Dawn have been in every possible avenue that's out there. Every organization has a mole of some sort with the Crimson Dawn, and it's just there to see like how good Kira is at pulling the strings. I mean, she fought against Vader. She kind of tricked Vader, had Vader with leverage. So that's at least the one part of the story is like, okay, like maybe there'll be a reference, like if we see her live action, like, yeah, you don't want to mess with Kira. She literally fought against Vader and survived. Like, like it wasn't going to end well for her if the one thing didn't happen. Of course, it only happened for like 30
Right.
seconds in reality that she fought against them. But just to kind of build up her power, it shows us how the Hutts got dealt with by Vader. They got exterminated. Jabba's the only survivor there, right? So there's lots of really cool little tidbits in the lore as well that are sprinkled in there. But, comics are going to be comics, and a lot of this was done for marketing to probably boost up the sales in the comics, because then it's like,
Okay.
oh, then it's like, because you actually look and it actually worked. Like I was looking at the sales numbers, and like you've seen like a couple of the Star Wars issues, like the top of the charts, and they haven't been there in years. So like whenever you do a crossover, like people are more likely to buy into it, obviously, to buy more of the issues and stuff like that. So yeah, the first issue of War of the Bounty Hunters was the biggest, because the biggest reveal was like, oh, Kira, but it never lived up to that first issue of the miniseries. Like, yeah, it it didn't move as fast as I wanted to. But no, long story short, yeah, definitely needed to have this, especially if it's going to be that trilogy. I think it's going to be better to assess that situation once we get the release of the Crimson Reign, and once we get the release of the Hidden Empire. Then I can really look at it as a whole and be like, how does this exist? And by then there'll be all these other things out that might connect even further with live action. So then that's when we know for sure. It's like, okay, this was purposeful for a good reason.
Okay. Gotcha. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, of course. So we are going to get into our main headline for tonight. We surprisingly just got this Book of Boba Fett trailer on a Monday at like 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. And here we were, speculating for freaking weeks now at this point. It's going to come out next Friday. It's going to come out next Friday. Disney Plus Day. Everything's going to be out there. And we've gotten a lot of rumors since, but we're not going to mention the rumors because we're going to be talking about it next week anyway. What's the point of doing that? But yeah, this thing came out of nowhere, and well, we all watched it, and I watched it a few times, and we're gonna sit here and we're gonna break down the main points, the main scenes that I've seen. So the cool thing is, those of you that are watching get to actually see what we're talking about. Since we're in video format, we are actually going to have some exclusive stuff. So if you guys are listening and you actually want to see what we're talking about, you can go on YouTube and watch this video on youtube.com/Starrapter. So we are going to just get right on into it, and then we'll kind of just finish up with just overall thoughts, I guess, when we're done watching or talking about each scene here. So the first scene totally blew my mind. And it blew my friend Chad's mind as well, because my friend Chad is the biggest Bomar Monk fan alive. So to see this Bomar Monk crawling across the sands of Tatooine in front of Jabba's palace was freaking glorious. I freaking love seeing this thing, because it's like one of those creatures that you see in the back of Jabba's palace for like a split second in Return of the Jedi. And they have very interesting lore as far as like that little they are actually monks that believe in like a transcendence. If they release their brains to this jar thing, they believe they're going to get like I don't know if it's eternal life or something, but it's absolutely bizarre, but I love it because it's like crazy Star Wars stuff. And they recently had, like, I think a year or two ago, one of those Tales from Vader's Castle stories actually had like a story about Bib Fortuna and like going underneath the monastery of Jabba's palace and like finding like a bunch of these things around. But this just like hits you right where you want it to be, because the team that's making this loves Return of the Jedi. I mean, you see what they have done in Mandalorian season 1 and 2 with Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and of course the Robert Rodriguez is a huge fan of all this stuff, obviously. So these guys are just picking out those underworld things that I already love just from this first scene. What do you guys have to say about the Bomar Monk?
I mean, I wasn't really familiar with what that was. I mean, overall, I thought maybe the scene. I mean, looking at the picture now, like this, you can definitely tell. This looks like this was shot on location. I mean, I don't know. The cinematography is fire. Like, it does look good.
Yeah, I love how the sun is just coming up in the back.
It's very much shot in very much a cinematic way. Again, I'm not familiar with that particular creature. However, again, you can tell that they do care about this world, and that it looks like we're going to be very much immersed in this world. So,
yeah, for me, I didn't know the Bomar monks had that type of a history. Like I thought they were weird looking I thought they were weird looking background creatures, and I always thought, man, those things look weird. And that is pretty much the extent of my Bomar monkism. And yeah, I did not know about any of that stuff. I just thought they were weird looking background things, but very interesting. And like you said, though, it's cool though knowing the people working on it definitely like they're familiar with what would be around the territory of Return of the Jedi, of Tatooine, like that time period. Because I mean, we're only 5 or 6 years after that movie, so obviously a lot of this stuff will be kind of hanging around. So it's cool that they included that in the start of this trailer.
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out the chat real fast. I have Aesthetic Studio Lofi. That's my buddy Shay. What's up? And we also have Chris Forsyth. How's it going, man? All right, so let's just move right on to the next image here as I pull it up on my end. And there we go. We have Boba Fett. Boba Fett's helmet in particular, right? So why I picked this out is because we see Boba Fett, I believe, at the end of season 2 in that after credit scene. His armor was still shiny, right? Like his armor was legitimately like
It
it
was
looked
new.
like it was relatively new. And now we
Right.
see the armor have some scuff marks. It looks a little bit battle worn.
Yeah, I
I
think.
mean, go ahead, Ben.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I think it just has to do with we're not gonna pick right back up after that scene. Like we're not gonna see 5 seconds after he sits on the throne where he sits down and goes, "Well, Fennec, go grab me a drink." Like we're not gonna see that. I think a little bit of time's gonna pass, and with him like starting this conquest, I guess you would call it, he's probably gotten into some scraps, I would say.
And that's the thing, right? Because online, the chatter was when he got his repainted armor was, oh, I don't like it as much as the original armor. And people like Boba Fett because he's battle worn. Like he's been through some crap, and you could tell like his scuffed up armor. So I always liked the new paint job because it's like good. Like we had the same armor, but I like how it's not as nearly as damaged, right? Like he came out of like this armor came out of a freaking Sarlacc pit and everything else. But it's nice to see it just repainted with a couple chips here and there.
Right. I mean, for one, I mean, I think if people who are upset about it being brand new at the end of Mando season 2 or whatever, like to me that makes no sense because he would want to repair it. Like he wants to make sure that it's up to, I wouldn't say up to code, but it's up to snuff. Because again, he knows he's going to be going into multiple battles in the future, and again, and now it makes sense that I'm assuming the time jumps maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month or two after Mando. So it would make sense if his armor is a little damaged and he's been through some scraps. So I like the look of it. It definitely looks old, but also something new. And again, I love the look with the whole cloak or thing that he's wearing now with the armor on top. So I
Mm-hmm.
like the look. I'm glad that it's scuffed up. It shows that Boba is back into his old way of doing life.
There you go. Couldn't have said it better myself. Next up, we have what is new territory for our heroes in Tatooine here. And well, I mean, we have Fennec Shan. I think the main thing to take away from this is Fennec Shan and Boba Fett are working very closely together, right? You see the cast billing of this show, and all they've said so far is Tamora Morrison and Ming-Na Wen. You know, they haven't said any other characters
Hmm.
necessarily yet. So this shows like, yeah, these guys, this girl, this guy are going to be constantly in the same frame, just doing their business, walking around Tatooine.
I'm curious to see what how they're going to develop their relationship. I mean, again, like even from the trailer, I don't think we got a good sense of that, in my opinion. Like I know Finnick seems loyal to him in some way, shape, or form because he did save her, correct? From what I
Mm-hmm.
remember.
Yep.
So I mean, so we do know the loyalty factor. However, I'm curious to see their interaction with one each other when it's those when I say intimate scenes, when it's just those scenes with them one on one, when there's no one else around. So how would that play out? I think they look like some badasses walking, I guess, where they're going at this point. So I don't think anyone's going to mess with them intentionally.
No, no. I think so. Looking at this next image here, I thought this could have been Doc on Dar from, Bat 2 and Black Spire Outpost and Galaxy's Edge, but I believe this is just a different kind of a Thorian. And I believe that Dakandar is not actually an authority. I think he's an Atagan. Yeah, it's that crazy knowledge that there's a very slight difference. But anyway, we're looking at this guy. This guy looks like a warlord, right? I mean, he's got all this nice stuff around him. He's got like his own sort of throne. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking that this is going to be one of the main adversaries that Boba Fett is going to have to deal with on the planet of Tatooine. I mean, it seems like this is the other guy talking in the actual trailer. As you're hearing the dialogue, he's saying something about like you are a bounty hunter, and and Boba Fett's saying not anymore, or something to that degree. I also like the fact that you can actually visibly see like he's got like one of those vocators for like language translation, and the voice is modified, which is why I'm saying it has to come from this guy most likely that's speaking to Boba Fett. And that's where we see Boba Fett in the previous screenshot. Boba Fett and Fennec Shan were walking into like a very high tower. This has got to be this guy's place here. So I guess Boba Fett's showing up. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna take over this planet," or something to that degree. So, what do you guys have to say about this one?
I would say, yeah, I agree. Like he's like some type of warlord, probably. I do have my doubts, though. Potentially, I mean, maybe it was just how it sounded, but I feel like that guy sounded like Pedro Pascal, like the voiceover. And there's been little rumors, potentially about Din with this show. I think it sounded like Pedro saying your former employer, Jabba the Hutt, blah blah, or however he says it. I listened to it probably 15 times the other day. Like I think it could be, but they could have just made it kind of sound like it, to draw people in a little more. Because I saw a lot of like non-hardcore Star Wars fans bring that up to me. Like, I had one of my other friends who's not like a big Star Wars fan. They just watch it casually, and they messaged me and was like, "Hey, was that the guy from Mando talking in the Boba trailer?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't think so, but maybe." So I mean, there's a potential for that, but like for this guy, like you said, I think where we saw them walking into is potentially, well, for one, I think it's potentially like the capital city of Tatooine, like whatever that may be called, I'm not sure, but I think there's a potential for there's also a premise set for it as well of like Tatooine being taken over, because look, we had Cobb Vanth bring up in Mando how pirates and stuff came in as soon as the Empire were gone. So maybe Tatooine took over. What if Boba's liberating, like, almost liberating parts of Tatooine? I mean, sure, he's taking it over, but maybe he's liberating it. Like, maybe this guy is like the warlord who's basically controlling Tatooine, and it might be like the rival gang thing. Like, Boba's building up his power to beat this guy.
Yeah, I mean that could be a good thing. Here's we got another image of you mentioned a capital city, and people were throwing around the word Bestine online. Now I'm not sure if they got that from Legends. I seen in canon on Wikipedia there was a very small entry where Bestine was mentioned from a certain point of view story. So that, I mean, that would exist in canon. They could make it canon, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like we're seeing that same tower that I just mentioned earlier that they were walking towards. So I mean, this place is huge. This this
Yeah,
place
it looks dope.
it dwarfs Maz Eisley and Maz Espa, that's for sure, from what I can see so far. And it could be even bigger based on how far out this camera angle is. But I mean, yeah, I mean, we got so many places on Tatooine, right? We got the Maz Pelta and Mando, Maz Eisley, Maz Espa. This could be Bestine, whatever. So it's a vast, vast world. Jabba's Palace. There's lots of settings. You got the Beggar's Canyon. You got the Junlin
Right.
Waste. You got where Obi-Wan's place, which I believe is the Junlin Waste.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It's just
It reminded me of oh my god, that one movie that came out, Rogue One.
Yeah, Jeddah.
One of the shots in that trailer. I'm just thinking about it off the top of my head. Because I first thinking this can't be Jeddah, is it? And which I knew it wasn't, but it just reminded me of that look. Because one of the shots in that trailer looks just kind of like this. And I liked obviously how busy Jeddah was and how it looked. That's what this reminds me of.
Mm-hmm. All
Well,
right.
I think I just real quick. I think the appeal of things like this, Milton, like this type of a setting, is like we always say with these shows and reviews and whatever comes out for Star Wars, like it doesn't always have to be like galactic implications on the line.
Right.
Like it's cool. I think one of the big parts that drew us to Jeddah and potentially these scenes as well are just like you're getting the everyday feel of like the everyday
Yes.
person versus like Leia and Han and Luke and Ray and all those guys are fine and all, but you're basically seeing the government. Like you're not seeing the everyday person. Like you're literally seeing the government of Star Wars for the
Yeah.
most part. So like it's cool actually seeing what the normal people are doing basically, and that's one of the big parts of this. That's one of the big parts I love at the beginning of Force Awakens. What's the planet? Oh, Jakku. On Jakku,
Yeah.
like seeing Rey and Finn running through like the Jakku like marketplace, like that type of deal. Like those type of things are more cool. Or even, hey, referencing our podcast before with episode 1, seeing Qui-Gon walking in, through the town, like that type of thing is cool versus the major galactic implication like meeting rooms. Like that's one of the biggest appeals for scenes like these, and the ones we're going to be getting in Book of Boba.
Heck yeah. So looking at the next image here, we have the throne of Jabba. Right now, obviously, I think, well, I don't know if this is really the throne of Jabba per se, because Jabba had like that big sleigh type thing that they would move forward towards the pit and whatnot. So, I mean, I guess this is more or less Bib Fortuna's throne. I guess I like the detail of the Rancors and the fact that Fennec Shand mentions, she makes that aside, like, oh yeah, we'll feed you to the menagerie, Jabba's menagerie or whatever like that. Like that means that like Jabba actually had more than one. Jabba actually had more than one pet, guys. So I mean, I've read about that in previous Star Wars books and stuff. Because oh wait, not even because we watched actually the episode from Bad Batch where they got the other Patissa or whatever. No, that's actually his Rancor. There's the other one, the other named one. That was a crazy thing on Twitter the one week where everybody was like, "It's his Rancor." No, it isn't his Rancor, and all this crazy stuff. But like, I like the acknowledgement of, oh, maybe we'll see other things other than a Rancor here, some other monstrous creature.
Oh yeah.
I like the throne. I mean, again, it makes sense it would be there, and I think it's from like you said, Bib Fortuna. I think maybe he got that made or something, or maybe it was sitting around and Jabba was too fat to use it. So, but like I mean, it could be possible. But I mean, it looks good. I mean, and like I said, I like how it's shot and the way it looks. Like it looks like that belongs in Star Wars.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah,
gives me like a Game of Thrones vibe too. Like, oh, it's the Iron
Yeah,
Throne, but in Star Wars. I like
yeah,
the.
that's a good point, and I like the wording on it too. Like I'm curious what that wording says.
Let's see, is that Arabash? Let me see. Let me see. I don't think that's even Arabash. I think that's some other alien language that I don't think we have a decipherable tool for yet, because I'm sure somebody would have deciphered
Right.
it by now. But and this was going around a while ago. Some other podcast I forget I listened to was saying like Star Wars literally has almost the same thing going for as Game of Thrones, right? Because like you have Mandalore and there's the throne on Mandalore. I'm sure there's a throne there, so it's like okay, you got people fighting over throne on Mandalore. You're gonna have people fighting over the throne for the underworld, which is basically Jabba's throne right there. You probably have some kind of throne for the Empire, obviously. So it's like all this fighting for thrones and chairs in Star Wars. It's literally Game of Thrones in space now.
Oh yeah,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it's really symbolizing, and like, the struggle for power, and I
Yep.
think I think that's pretty much what that shot really symbolizes. And then, as you might have saw when you started describing it, I about spit my pop out when you said it was like a sleigh. Like I was just thinking of like Santa, Jabba the Hutt. I literally just about started laughing. But yeah, I think that's basically what it symbolizes, and
Mhm.
it's going to be interesting because the big thing is who or what will be challenging Boba for that seat of power is what we're going to find out.
Please be Cry More gang. Please be the Bandagora. No, they're more dark side. Please be Black Sun. Pikes. I want to see all those factions. I want to see them
Yep.
all. All of them. All right,
Oh,
next image here. We got a good look at Tamora Morrison, Boba Fett, as well as Fennec Shan. And the reason why I picked this one now is look at his face. Like, he's been through some pretty good back to treatments because last we've seen him, his face was kind of scarred up and just messed up in general. He looks a lot more healthy in this one.
I'm glad we're seeing his face. I know a lot of people initially. I think it was like years ago. Whenever who was that director who did Chronicle? Josh Trank
Oh,
was
yeah.
rumored to do the Boba Fett movie, and a lot
yeah.
of people were like, "Oh, I don't ever want to see his face. I want them to shoot it like the movie Dread," which could have worked at the time, obviously. But I'm glad we got to see his face again. We're familiar with him being the clone of Django, like the direct clone and unaltered clone. And I'm glad that we're able to see like what he's like without the helmet. So yeah, I think you're right, Chris. I think that he got some healings done. He's been drinking a lot of water. He's got some stuff done to his face, so that's good. So yeah, I want to see him express himself. I want to see what he's like without that helmet. Now that he's the main focus of a series.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like we know that there's a 5 year gap. He was, for all we know, he was living on Tatooine for 5 years with Tusken Raiders. Um, so it's like, oh wow, he's finally taking care of himself now that he seems like maybe he has some underlings at this point. He has a little bit of money to spend on some good quality Bacta. So maybe he's like Luke Skywalker in an Echo base and just chilling in a tube for a couple hours a day.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Like I think it's cool that doesn't mind showing his face, like versus just hiding. And it's cool that he's like, I don't know, I guess badass enough where he's like, yeah, I don't care who knows who I am. Like, I'm still Boba Fett whether I have the mask on or not. Like, so it's cool. And like you guys said, this solidifies more that we are in a month or two time jump potentially, or potentially 3 or 4. Like, because he's healed up. He's in Bacta. I mean, we saw Ben Solo get healed by Bacta and stuff a little bit, or a Bacta patch, I guess. So like it can help. I mean, Luke was in a Bacta tank. Vader was in it, and I mean, got healed as much as he could. But so yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility, and he looks good. And another good thing about the shot as well is, I think overall as a whole, Boba, I like how they tightened up his armor so he looks more slimming versus all the dad bod jokes that were going around last year with Mando. Like I think Tamara Morrison looks better in these shots that we've seen so far up to this point. So that's another thing to throw in there.
Yeah, for sure. So next one coming up, our best look at Jabba's palace and all its elegance. Man, this is awesome. I just love the aesthetic here. And you can actually see the front door that C-3PO knocks on. You get to see all this. We haven't really seen a shot like this for Jabba's palace, I don't believe. We might have seen like another angle in Return of the Jedi. It looks like there's a person, if you look really closely, walking up. Maybe that's, I don't know who that could be. It's way too far, but I just love like the wildland look of this landscape, this mountainous, like impassable terrain. Like you have to literally like walk up to the front door to get access to Jabba's palace. So it's a pretty good like defensible position for our fortress. I would love to see like at some point like some kind of battle out there on the sands, like maybe some like other organization trying to storm the gates, so to speak, and that'd be a lot of fun.
yeah, I mean, just like I said with the first image, like I just like how it looks. Like the cinematography and the color palette is perfect. It feels like that could be real. It feels like that. I like one day if I had the resources to go there, I like to go check it out. And you can definitely tell that these creators took their time and really trying to make this seem like it's from Return of the Jedi and from that time period. So that's what's up. Like that's how it should be. Like that's how you make a good product. You really just take the time and you pay attention to the details.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. What about you, Ben? What do you think about this one?
Mm, yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Milton. Like what you said, it looks like it's right out of Return of the Jedi. It's spruced up a little bit, of course, because of just graphics. But I think it looks like it's something out of Return of the Jedi, and I think there's like a 70% chance we're gonna get a homage to Return of the Jedi at some point in this series of someone, probably low level, no name gang member walking up to the door type deal. Like I think there's a decent chance we're gonna get something like that. Someone wanting to come meet with Boba, and it's gonna be like kind of homage of 3PO and R2 walking up to so like
the little droid's gonna pop out like with the language. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's gonna have to be.
I think we're gonna get something like that, which would be really cool. But yeah, it looks really great, and it's great seeing Jabba's palace. And as you said too, Milton, it's a place, even though obviously it's Star Wars, it's a place that you'd be like, man, I would love to go visit that, because like the aesthetics, the location, like that's something like you'd want to go see like in person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so here we got the first meeting of the captains of the previous Hutt Empire, Jabba's empire here. So we have some Trandoshans. It looks like we have the dog-faced species that I'm forgetting right now. I know some people were like, "Oh, is that Bosk?" I'm like, "There's no way that's Bosk. Bosk would not be a captain of Jabba. He's a bounty hunter." I think we're gonna see Bosk in the series. I think there were rumors that Bosk is gonna be in the series, but that's not him. But I mean, I just love just how the Amandoverse treats the legacy alien species and about how we get so many of them. I know there's some chatter online saying, "Hey, look, why can't they ever speak like another language other than basic?" And I kind of have to agree. I would like to see some more subtitles, some more just their natural language coming out, and whatever. So, but I mean, it's still at least great that we're seeing these sorts of characters regardless. So, and the fact that they're in this sort of setting where like everybody's just sitting down. Now, there's a lot of people saying that this is maybe like that Sopranos and Star Wars, or whatever, the Godfather in space kind of thing. And I'm kind of getting that vibe here, right? Like everybody's having that Sunday dinner. They're speaking like the mafia and all this kind of thing. Oh, you're gonna take care of this business over here. You're gonna take care of that business over there. So, what do you guys have to say about this one?
I mean, to me, like that, this is what it will look like. I mean, I think this has to be within the first episode of the series of like, hey, Boba Fett trying to establish himself as like that long-term leader. So I like the way it looks. I'm curious to see how that interaction is going to go. I feel like something bad is going to happen, like just so Boba can make a point to say, "Hey, I'm here for real, so don't really like test me." So I'm looking forward to those interactions. I think that's probably where I'm at right now. Just how will Boba interact with various characters throughout this show? Because I know the one line he talks about, "I want to rule with respect." Is that what he says or something?
Yeah.
Instead of fear or whatever. So I'm curious to see, because the guy like calls him out at one point, doesn't he? And then Fennec's like, "Yeah, we'll feed you. Jabba would have fed you too." Blah 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 blah. And then Boba's like, "No, let him speak." And I'm thinking, oh, okay, like what's he setting him up for? Because maybe there's a different end game.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like, I totally agree with you guys on that. Like, this whole scene and setup, the reason why I love this trailer, and I think this trailer is great as a whole, is because it's setting up the Godfather feel of Star Wars. Like, The Godfather is one of the greatest movies ever, if not my most favorite movie ever. And, that movie, it basically, I like it because it's not super high paced. Like, you're not going to get a Marvel movie with the Godfather. Don't watch it expecting that. But what you get is an amazing story. You get a little bit of action, things like that. And with this, we'll obviously get more action. But if we get a really good criminal element story, like mobster type story with this show, with a scene like this, I think it's only for the better. And as you said, Milton, I think this is going to be maybe the crux of a scene where Boba like lets everybody know he's serious about business.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a chance, I think we all agree most of these shots in this trailer are from either episode 1 and maybe part of episode 2. So maybe there's a chance at this scene one of these people tried to like assassinate Boba, and he just takes him out right there in front of everybody and makes an example of him, and is like, no, I'm the boss here, like type of deal. Because the thing is, Boba talks about ruling not by fear but by respect. But the definition of respect is definitely varying between, say, a hero and an anti-hero like Boba, I would say. I mean, you're not. I guarantee you, if you ask Luke at the end of Mando season 2 respect and Boba respect, they're going to have very wildly different definitions of respect. So, I think it's going to play into that, and hey, it'll be interesting to see if they pull the Godfather, if they go full Godfather vibes, in every little meeting scene in the Godfather, any scene that has like an orange in it, the like side characters get killed off. Basically, that's like a little spoiler for that movie if you've never seen that before. But that is a confirmed thing. So that would be cool if they do a little homage to that. But
they'll have a Yogan fruit at the table. They'll have a Yogan fruit or a Meliuran or whatever they're called.
Exactly.
Look out for that.
I think it's really cool. And then I was going to ask you, I actually wrote down my notes for this episode, Chris. Do we know for sure if the bounty hunters were not quote unquote Jabba's captains? Like, was Boba Jabba's one of his captains was Bosk? Like, that's
no, we have no idea about that. No.
Okay. Well, we'll know for sure if that gets established. Like, if someone says Boba, you're Jabba's former captain or something, then we'll know that guy probably is going to end up being Bosk if the captains are bounty hunters.
Yeah. So we have Chris chiming in. He's saying one of them is going to be Sid from Bad Batch, and that would be interesting.
Oh no!
I mean, they could literally do that because you could just have somebody else in a suit, and obviously the voice actor would just do the voice.
Please don't.
That'd
do
be
that.
stupid. I would not be for that. I'll be honest with you. That'd be a dumb idea. I'd be like, all right, that's stupid. Like, that character's trash.
Speaking of aliens, though, hey, what they could do. I would love so much if they bring in Hondo. Like, Hondo would be such a fun comic relief type character, and it fits the criminal element.
I feel like I don't know if he would fit this. This feels like more, and I'm going to chime in with Aaron Daly is saying in the chat. He's saying that sometimes a lot of people are referring to this as like the Star Wars Underworld series that we never got, right? So this is like that more of like a darker edge. Whenever Hondo comes in, there's usually some hijinks that ensue. There's usually some lightheartedness, and this definitely looks a lot darker than your typical kind of Star Wars. So I don't know if he would really jive in this arena.
That's true. I guess if we don't get Hondo in this, we better get him in the Ahsoka series with Ezra. Is all I gotta say.
Oh my gosh!
But
right.
Yeah, I think
it makes sense if like Cad Bane showed up in this or something. Like, I mean, I'd be like, all right, bet, but like Cad Bane be perfect for this.
All right, so moving on, we have some outsiders of the city for the Sand People. We got the Tusken Raiders here. They're walking through the dunes, and I mean, the only thing that this reminds me of is like, where's Cobb Vanth in the trailer, right? Like, I would expect that Cobb Vanth is going to be here somewhere eventually in one of these. Supposedly, we have 9 episodes for the series. I think he's going to show up, but it is neat seeing the Sand People. They're just such a pivotal role for the lives of the people in Tatooine.
I mean, honestly, like, I'm not surprised that we're gonna we got a shot of these people. They're like cockroaches. Like, I feel like they're always around. Like, and I don't mean that to be negative, but they're just always around. So I was like, all right, like they're scavenging, they're doing some off the wall shit. It's kind of like who are the other creatures, the Jawas. Like, it's kind of like them too. So again, I guarantee we'll be seeing a lot of Jawas and Sand People throughout this whole series.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's pretty much what my thoughts were when I saw that shot too. Milton was like, I think we're going to see a lot of these things, or at least a decent. They'll definitely be used, I feel like, in like exterior shots and whatnot. And it'll be interesting to see though. What if we get like a group of Sand People like wanting to go to Jabba's palace or something, and Boba has to like go out and talk to them or something? And hey, maybe maybe that's what ties into like I want to rule with respect and not fear thing. What if they're like, they're in the meeting with all those guys, and they're like, oh, a big group of sand people coming, blah 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 blah, and Boba's like, I'll go deal with it, and then us as an audience is like, oh my gosh, is he gonna go slaughter them? And then he goes and just like negotiates with them, and they leave or something, and then that leads into the whole I'll rule with respect thing. Like maybe that could be the crux for this shot. Like maybe we'll get something like that. But
moving on, we have this is, I don't know if this is even on Tatooine, to be honest with you, but we have some high clientele, and this is a Twi'lek, a very rich looking Twi'lek. So I thought it was an interesting crowd kind of scene here with just a bunch of various aliens in the background and whatnot.
No, I think that's what's her name? Who's that actress? Jennifer Beal. Like she's been around for a minute, like since like 1980 something. She did like that Flashdance movie that was real popular back in the 80s, and there was just an article like she came out saying how she really appreciated being part of the Star Wars community now. And I think in real life, and this is where I guess this might tie into some political stuff now. I know in real life, like she's like part of the LGBT community, I'm pretty sure. So maybe they might try to tie in some of that with her character. Like, I don't know. I can see Star Wars or Disney now like taking some of that stuff because they kind of did it in Rise of Skywalker. Like I can see them like bringing in like more of that LGBT community and tying some of those themes into Star Wars. But like every time I see that particular actress, I think of that all the time.
All right. Well, yeah, she's there with another female Twi'lek, so it could be a good possibility.
Yeah. I mean, I could see honestly, like I could see fans being weird about it just because, like, well, I don't want to have to deal with like with politics or gender issues or whatever. I mean, and again, if Star Wars do it right, they can make it work. You know, what I mean, look, I'm sure there's same-sex couples with humans and aliens in Star Wars. It happens. You know, like as long as they make it organic and make it fit the story, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think the shot probably is potentially something along those lines. As you said, Milton, the actress, she's involved with that community, which is great and everything. And I think, like you said, as long as all these things, just as, in general, whether it be this, like the LGBT community topic or just normal storytelling for whatever the story is, like, as long as you integrate whatever the points you're trying to make naturally into the overall story, you're good. Like it's good to go. You can do as much of that stuff as you want as long as it's just incorporated naturally into the story. So I think that can be a good opportunity there. And then just for the character implications, like, as you said, Chris, like maybe potentially like high clientele. So maybe it's going to be like a hit type situation or like, hey, we need help overthrowing this person, yada, yada, yada. Or maybe she's another enemy person. Like maybe she's connected to that other gang, like the other boss, the crime boss that we talked about earlier in the breakdown. So maybe it's something along those lines. But I think there's a decent chance a lot of these people we're seeing in these shots are going to be against Boba in this show.
Oh, for sure. I mean, she looks devious. Like, well, first of all, okay, this is now me being weird, I guess. If I was in Star Wars, I can see myself being attracted to her. I'm just being honest with you. Like, she ain't bad looking. Because we have seen humans in Star Wars, like, married to Twi'leks and having babies with them.
Yeah.
So, I'm just saying, like, Star Wars is doing their job because clearly she looks fire. And if I was in Star Wars, I'd talk to her. What's up? What's up, girl?
Maybe we'll get a scene where she tries to, I don't know. Hey, maybe it'll be a call back to the whole scene of Boba like scratching the Twi'lek's chin. Maybe it'll be something like that.
I was about to say
maybe she'll like grab his hand and be like, "No, like what are you doing?" Like maybe we'll get something like that. I think it'll be interesting to see her interaction with Boba. But also, a lot of our chatter has been interaction with Boba, but Fennec Shand is going to be right there too. So I'm really interested to see how things go because, Boba's, as we said, he's talking about ruling with respect. But I feel like with Fennec Shan's comment about feeding people to Jabba's pets, like, I think Fennec will be the one to quick draw the gun quicker than Boba will initially. Just, in terms of like maybe defending Boba, I guess. Or like saying like you need to respect him, like type of deal. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see her and Boba's interaction with this character.
Yeah, it is. It just calls back like those cool crime dramas I'd watch with the mafia, and it's like, you got the guys, the dons, the head of the organizations, and all, and then they have the wives, and the wives are like decked out in like the finest jewelry and like the finest clothing, and they're relaxing around like very nice looking places and whatnot. Like this reminds me of that. Like she is connected to like a big crime boss of some sort, probably.
Also, to throw one thing in there as well. Okay, so if you guys zoom in on her face. The thing about it is she's looking up, like she's looking like at someone talking. So maybe she's in a room where maybe Boba's talking or someone's talking, like because her eyes are not facing where they would be eye level if you're having a conversation. She's looking like she's looking up, like off to the side and up. So maybe Boba's in like making a point, like, "Hey, I'm the boss now," or something.
Huh. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. Now, let's see. Okay, going along. Of course, we got to get a shot of the slave one here.
Yeah. I mean that's self-explanatory. I mean it's with that we know he's still got that ship, and that's how it should be, and it looks great. I mean it again. I mean every shot we've seen thus far has not been a bad shot. And again they know what they're doing to appease to appease the traditional Star Wars fan, especially the ones that are heavy Slave One or Boba Fett fans. Like they know what you're doing, and they had to put a shot in this trailer.
And like you said, the color palette's really cool. It looks like it's at twilight or at dawn or something like that.
Right.
And it's just like the engines, the way they go against the background there, just look freaking beautiful.
Yeah, gorgeous. It's a gorgeous shot. I mean, I'm gonna keep saying it all night. I mean, people might get annoyed with me, but people don't understand how important the cinematography color palette really matters to a property like Star Wars, or whether it's Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica, whatever. Like you gotta be able to
the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, Snyder Cut. You got to be able to envision, or even whether it's or Marvel films too. You got to be able to envision and see what these things are looking at and how they feel. So, again, like you can definitely tell that they're taking the time to make this feel like, okay, we're really on Tatooine or whatever Star Wars planet that's there, and it feels very much familiar to us.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I think the color palette looks great. Like you said, we all know we're going to see shots of the slave one. That's like a given.
It's a given.
But I mean, I guess the question that comes out of it's going to be interesting to see where's he going. Like, because if you're on Mos Eisley, or if you're just on the planet, like you probably would take a little speeder or something, traveling around. So maybe he's going off world for something, which is going to be interesting to see what it could potentially be about. Or there's always the possibility this is just the end of an episode scene where, he takes off and flies off and it's like, dun 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 dun, they fly away. So maybe it's just something like that. But yeah, I guess it's just the real question. It's going to be interesting to see where Boba is actually headed to in this scene, if Boba's the one flying it.
Yep. Very curious. Very curious. All right. Just a couple more shots to go. Now this one is cool. It's all about glory and fame and fortune, and that whatever the Indiana Jones line goes like, because we have Boba Fett's helmet with what looks like New Republic credits just pouring out of the helmet. What the heck is going on in this shot, guys?
Yeah, I'm curious about this one because I'm thinking like, I mean, yeah, Boba's a bounty hunter, but honestly, have we? And yes, he collects bounties. He's all about making his money. I get that, but I've never got the sense that that money was important to him. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I never. I mean, go ahead, Chris. What you about to say?
Because in the comics and stuff, like they acknowledge the money situation. Yeah, he could always use money, but it seems like his reputation is more what he cares about. Like he wants to be
That's what I'm
respected to be
saying.
like the
Yeah.
guy that gets the job done. He doesn't ever want to fail. Like the fact he's going through the War of the Bounty Hunters event and he just wants to get Boba Fett back because he doesn't want to be disgraced. Like he doesn't want to lose
Mhm.
that kind of reputation as he's the one that lost the biggest bounty in the galaxy, right? So
Right.
yeah, the money's not a huge deal with him. It's just simply having that name recognition and for the people to kind of respect or fear whatever at the time he wants them to do.
Right. And
Yeah.
I can see this as a piece of symbolism saying like, look, I can care two bleeps about the money. Like I'll take my helmet off and wreck you to show you that I don't care. And like just honestly, I can see him just being in the scene saying, you know what, take off his helmet. Here's the money. I don't need it. That's not important. I'm gonna just trash you. You know, because it looks like this is the fighting scene. Like something like, and this might be the current, like you mentioned before, Chris, that red glow on the top of the screen. I believe that's Crimson. Is that Crimson Dawn you mentioned?
Yeah,
That
it's
might it
that
might
same
be. So
scene. Yep.
I can see them confronting him about some finances. He's like, listen, I don't care, take it. He's like, that's not important to me. However,
Oh,
you disrespected me and whatever that's important. I'm gonna take your life for it.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. I think it's something along those lines. But also, talking about symbolism and stuff, maybe we're going to get more of a meta symbolism of, what did Watto say? Republic credits don't work out here, only money. So
oh,
maybe this is just a symbolism of Boba taking over power. Like Republic credits might, work now. Like maybe he's taking over, and maybe it's going to be something along those lines where, he starts, Republic credits will work, and things along those that sort of deal type of situation.
could be. So speaking of these mysterious characters, now I put this out on Twitter, and it seemed like there wasn't a lot of people that even brought this up, and it kind of shocked me with how quick the Star Wars community is with picking up on different things. And we have at the end of the trailer Boba Fett going mano a mano with being surrounded, him and Fennec, around these soldiers in very uniform kind of costumes, all similar with these ray shields on their wrists. And they got these red masks. They kind of look like, Sub Zero or Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, actually. But they have freaking red on, like crimson, the color crimson right now. Reading the War of the Bounty Hunters, there are certain kind of characters that have some similar garb, and oh my gosh, now that I'm thinking about it, I have to open up one of the issues because I not now because I'd have to dig it out, but I think I seen these guys in one of the comics.
Hmm.
In one of the Darth Vader issues. That's right. It's going to be one of the Darth Vader issues. But yeah, I mean, this is as close to confirmation as I think. Like these guys have to be Crimson Dawn. I mean, come on here. They're just all in red.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
Like,
it's potentially. I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt, Ben. Like,
oh, you're
it's
good. No, you're good.
potentially could be them. Again, I'm not familiar. You read all the comics, Chris, so you know better than like me for sure. And it could be. Again, I think it's funny you bring up the Scorpion type look. Like you're not wrong. It looks like who's the red one from Mortal Kombat? It's Scorpion. It's Smoke, Sub Zero. There's a who's the Emrak, the purple one, or is that Rain? I think Emrak's the red one. So it looks like him from Mortal Kombat. Like that's kind of like that's a good comparison, Chris. Yeah.
what do you think about this one, Ben? I remember telling you about. I was like, dude, you got to see this.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even it didn't register with me at first when I first saw the trailer, and then I didn't realize it until you brought it up, and then the funny part about it was, so one of my friends who is a hardcore Star Wars fan, but he basically just follows the basically whatever's on screen, and he loosely keeps up with some of the outside canon stuff, and that was actually the first thing he brought up to me was he said, "Do you think those guys at the end of the trailer are from the Crimson Dawn?" And I was like, well, funny thing is, Chris just sent us pictures about it, and I was like, what in the world? So like, one of my friends even noticed that, and he's a pretty good Star Wars fan, but he thought the same thing. So, I think that's the consensus. What a lot of people are thinking. I've seen a few people on Twitter talking about it, and I think it's potentially leading I mean, I think it's potentially leading to the Kira reveal is what I think we're going to be getting. Like that'll be the Luke Skywalker thing for this show. Like
Yeah.
that'll be the big Grogu, the big Luke, whatever, that type of ordeal.
Mhm.
Because I've said it for the longest time. What can they reveal in this show that is like hitting a home run? Like you can only do so much Boba versus random gang member for so long before it's like, okay, what are we doing here? You know, like you can't. Let's say hypothetically they are 9 episodes. You can't do 9 straight episodes of random gang members. Like they're gonna have to be some type of tie into something we know.
There needs to
Like
be an end game.
yeah, there needs to be an end game, um, and that sort of thing. So like maybe we're going to get something along those lines of the big reveal being Kira at the very, very end. Maybe her walking out, like, or who knows? Maybe Boba gets like a scrap with these Crimson Dawn members, or maybe Boba, like, maybe someone's like, this person is gonna, the leader of this gang is gonna book a meeting with you, and Boba's like, bring them in or whatever. And maybe it's that. Maybe Kira walks in to meet with Boba, and that's how the season one ends. And man, people would go nuts then.
I mean, I can see that. I mean, so honestly, like, I think to answer your question about what could be that
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker reveal, and this might be a little over the top, but I mean, obviously, I think Kira's a good idea because again, Amelia Clark can still come back and be that character.
Yeah.
But like, what if they bring in like an actor or like Alden Ehrenreich to play Han Solo, and like they kind of not combine, but like they enmesh some of like that Harrison Ford look a little bit in him. 'Cause, again, they got the technology to do that. Like we say, hey, listen, Han Solo, Kira, and Boba got to team up and take down like some like elite crime family. Like that'd be kind of dope. Or I mean, I don't know. That's definitely reaching. But I wouldn't mind seeing Han Solo for like an episode. Just pop up for like whether it's a hologram or like a in person particular, real person there. That'd be kind of dope. Because I would like to see like that interaction between Boba and Han Solo ever since Han thought he killed him.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I think there's a chance for that. I think that's not too far fetched because I think any of these characters potentially are on the table, especially since they're cast. And to me, if you're bringing in Kira, let's say they bring in Kira, like who's the other character from that movie? Oh, Han. Like or whatever's Alden Ehrenreich. Like
Yeah.
that makes sense. It makes sense for the thing. So there's a potential for that. And we already it's pretty much implied. Just, I mean, it's not even speculation from Ming Na Wen that there's a season 2, like just from some of the set photos and stuff. So maybe Kira's season 1, and it leads into like Han connecting in season 2, something along those lines. And all of this stuff has to tie into the Mandoverse, like the greater Mandoverse, because they said this is a connected thing. So I think what we implied at the very beginning of this trailer breakdown is going to be happening. Like the Book of Boba will be establishing the criminal underworld, and then we'll be having the in Mando season 3 we'll have the Mando, I don't know, whatever I guess the Mandalorians would be, underground warriors or something. I don't know. Like we'll have the Mandalorians establish like the underground warrior cult, and then we'll have the also at the time, maybe it won't be on screen, or maybe if Rangers of the Republic comes out, that'll establish kind of like the Resistance / Republic, and then that's all going to potentially be leading into a Arrowverse crossover. Like we always say, like the Arrowverse stuff, excuse me, like it's going to lead into like a massive Arrowverse epic, whether it be movie or show. Like here's a fun thing to think about too. What if we get all this hype for this? What if they make an exclusive Disney Plus movie like for this? Like that would break the mold for sure because there's so much about theaters and stuff. But maybe we'll get a massive crossover event like that at some point, because it's all leading to something. Like we're all leading to that, and I'm presuming the big character we're leading to, in this universe is Thrawn, just because he got name dropped in the last season of Mando. So maybe like Boba's establishing this. we're all establishing this. So who knows? Maybe Boba eventually teams up with them to go try to take out Thrawn or something. Like I think it is all leading to this. Like this building the criminal thing is just like the bricks of the foundation of the house leading up to the big crossover.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see that. So I actually got the comic book that I was referencing when you guys were talking earlier, and well, I'm gonna just show you guys what the heck this looks like, if it'll work on my end. Because hold on one second. Yeah, so this is from Darth Vader issue. From Darth Vader, the Assassin's Choice issue number 15 from War of the Bounty Hunters. You have Ochia Bestoon going to this planet, and he gets ambushed by these Crimson Dawn agents.
Oh, dang.
Yep, hold on. My image software is not quite working at the moment. Dang it.
Well, I'm sure if that game pulls up, I'm sure people who are listening or watching can probably look it up on the Google, type that stuff in. But no, I mean first of all, I'm glad you found it, and that makes sense, Chris. So it's good to know that the creators of the show did pay attention to the comic book material.
Okay, I'm getting it up now. But yeah, anyway, so you guys see the images I linked.
I have to pull them up.
I sent it in the Facebook Messenger. I mean, you can see it on YouTube right now. I have it up on YouTube.
I have it pulled up on YouTube on my phone.
And so that's a character that basically looks like the outfit is almost identical to his character. So I think it's like the color is literally like the same hue of color that they have in that trailer.
Oh yeah. Let me be like YouTube clickbaiters. Crimson Dawn ? Confirmed ? Yeah, I think it's for sure Crimson Dawn. I think we're getting them.
You got that one. Let me show you guys another one of like a crowd shot of all the other ninjas. Yeah, so basically the only difference is that they have like some sort of like metal mask. But then yeah, so that's interesting there. And then I'm going to show you guys another one. There's a character named Deathstick.
Yep.
Yeah, so Deathstick from Star Wars. She first showed up in the Star Wars. What is it? Star Wars, the video game that failed utterly.
Was it Legion? No.
No, Star Wars Uprising.
Oh, Uprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a good image of her actually right now. All right, this is probably the best looking one. Let me show you guys. Let's see. 32. Yeah, I know. It's exciting podcasting. Trying to get this stuff up on the fly. This is what happens. At least we're able to actually see these things, but it just takes the time to bring it up into the chat real quick. All right, that should be good. Oh, it's very small. All right, it's up on YouTube now. That's the character of Deathstick. Now, she looks pretty much just like one of those agents that we see in the trailer.
Oh wow, yeah, huh?
She looks just like pretty much identical to what they're wearing. The only thing she's not wearing, the only thing the other people aren't wearing is like that grayish chest armor. It's basically it. So.
Okay.
So it's pretty much. I think it's easy to confirm that's pretty much them. But
yeah, I think it's gonna be them. I think so. And the cool part about it is, oh man, one thing that would definitely get the fans riled up and in a good way. What if we get them talking Crimson Dawn and Boba straight up references and we get a flashback to Darth Maul ruling Crimson Dawn? Like, what if they somehow snuck a flashback Boba, or flashback Maul into here if they were talking about Crimson Dawn? Like, that would be insane.
Yeah, the thing is that I think Ray Park, the actor that plays Darth Maul, is a little bit on shaky ground with Disney.
Yeah, never mind. That is a very valid fact.
And that is
there.
actually a story we're going to reference in a few more minutes here because we literally have like one more shot left, I believe, to talk about in this trailer.
Yeah.
And that is this pretty funny shot. The way I clipped it out is just the expression on Tamara Morrison's face. It's just freaking priceless. Like the way his eyes are just like bulging out of his skull, the way I got the screenshot from the trailer, it's just freaking funny.
Oh, and he's about to hit that person.
Yeah. I was trying
Yeah.
so hard to like freeze frame it to see like what kind of weapon he has. But I think he's just simply using one of their like vibro axe type of weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
It maybe he disarmed one of them.
I think that's probably the case. And we never knew that Boba Fett was such a proficient warrior using the melee weapons, but then we seen him with the gaffy stick and just completely wrecking the stormtroopers. So I'm very curious to see if we get like a take two of that with him against the Crimson Dawn, just smashing them up.
Well, I mean, I guess if you think about it though, with Boba, I mean, I guess he was only a kid when Django got taken out, but presumably Django had him trained. I mean, Django was pretty good in melee combat. Like he held his ground against Obi-Wan pretty well, and then even Mace. So maybe he had some clone training, and then of course he was taught. I mean, heck, in the Django comic, like Boba is pretty lethal as a kid, like very lethal actually. So it'll be interesting to see him continue that, especially with melee combat. Like that's one thing I always find really cool in these type of things, whether it be Star Wars or we always say, Arrow's such an easy thing to reference, but some of the best, most badass scenes in Arrow isn't when he's shooting a bow; it's when he's going hand-to-hand combat. Like the hand-to-hand combat scenes are so cool. Like,
oh yeah, definitely, for sure.
And to see Boba get into hand-to-hand combat like the Arrow would or whatever, like that type of stuff is awesome in my opinion.
Yeah, the best ones are season 1 and 2. You already know.
Yep. Oh, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, so yeah, those are pretty much all the shots. There you go. You can see our lovely faces once again. Those are all the shots from the trailer there. And just quick initial thoughts about the trailer is, I mean, and this was a conversation I had with you guys. Like, I got done watching a trailer and I wasn't like over the moon about the trailer. I wasn't like, oh, this trailer sold me. Like, well, honestly, you don't need to sell me on any of these like live action Mandoverse things. I already know they're going to be great because the creative team involved has proven themselves time and time again. But and this also floods into like the other things that Disney puts out for the trailers. I feel like the trailers for the Disney Plus series, they don't ever really like leave us off on like, oh my gosh, it's amazing, like holy crap, like the Loki trailer, same thing, like the Hawkeye trailers, like that's a whole nother story. I'm just not even really sold on that series to begin with. The trailers needed to do more in that, but like okay, they showed us Boba doing what he does best, like Boba in a new light on Tatooine, seeing him unmasked, seeing him, like his famous line is, I don't rule with violence or whatever, or fear. I rule with respect. So we kind of get the idea of what the show is going to be about as far as, hey, this is going to be about a power struggle and about him trying to deal with like mafia kind of in Star Wars. And it's going to be, that's the tone or setting. I was hoping for like maybe one cool character, like even something like Cobb Vanth would have made me like really, really happy, or seeing like a flashback of like him with like the Sarlacc pit, like maybe a hand coming up out of the Sarlacc pit. They could have ended on something like that. That would have been really effing cool. But I just feel like it was just like, all right, cool. Like there's not much necessarily to break down unless you see something like we just seen with the Crimson Dawn, most likely. That was cool. But other than that, there wasn't anything that like stuck out to me specifically. I think this honestly could be all about the first episode. I feel like they are hiding so much from this series because they literally can't show us like a certain thing because it'll spoil the rest of the season. So they're like, all right, let's just cut up the first episode and just put it in a trailer.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, Chris. I mean, all of your points, you're right, and I think, see, this is where I get annoyed with how these especially with Disney sometimes, because like they are scared to spoil stuff, and I get that. 'Cause some people are sensitive about it, which I don't understand what that is, because I don't care. Like I'll read the full script to a show and still want to watch it. Because again, visuals, music, that makes the story enhance even more. But again, when I watched the trailer, I was like you. It didn't get me excited. Yeah, I've already been excited for this because I've wanted to watch it since the end of season 2 of Mandalorian. So again, I think this just fed my appetite to say, okay, this is what you're going to be getting to start. Let's just get you prepared for it. And like I said, the marketing for it wasn't really there prior to the trailer coming out. So it was like, eh, I wasn't hyped to be like, oh, I gotta watch this. It wasn't like when they did the movies where they would show like small clips of like 2 days later or
Yeah.
in 3 days is coming up, blah 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 blah. Like they didn't prepare us to say, okay, in 3 days you're gonna get this 2-minute trailer for Boba Fett, whatever. I mean, again, I think they are lacking in that department, but that might be on purpose. And you're right. I think they're all holding a lot of stuff back. It kind of reminds me of what the CW shows are doing currently with their trailers. They really don't release full trailers anymore, which is weird to me. I know Flash has that like 5-episode Armageddon
Mm.
crossover coming up soon, like next week, I think. And it was like a minute and 10-second trailer. It's like, wait a minute, that's it?
What?
You have a big crossover coming up. Like, give me a 2-minute
Minute and
trailer
10 minutes.
for three. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like they're taking a lot of their marketing strategies from the CW the last couple years. I don't know why. I mean, it worked for CW, but like I said, I'm not overall hype. I've already been excited, so let's just give me the show and let's get into it.
I think what it is a whole different prospect, right? When you're dealing with a movie, you're dealing
Hmm.
with people just like you have to win the people over. You have to get their money at the door, and that's how they're gonna see the thing. Whereas I think with the streaming, it's like they're just making you aware. Like they already have like
Yeah,
they probably I think are up to almost 100 million subscribers at this point. So the idea is like they don't want to obviously spend that much money on marketing, but they
yeah,
want it to be like okay, word of mouth and let that kind of carry the hype through everything. And
true.
I guess they've seen how the response is online when like a big reveal happens, and they want to keep it bottled up as much as possible. But I mean, showing something like what we already expect is not going to be. It's not like they're showing us Luke
Right.
Skywalker in the trailer.
Yeah, but I mean, my thing is though, just give us that traditional. Hey, if it's one trailer, that's fine. Just give us that traditional 2.5 minute, 3-minute trailer, and say, hey, this is all you need. It's all you need. Don't give me a minute and 20 seconds. Like, give me more than that. Like,
Yeah,
at least give me more in depth information about what else to expect. And I can go, and it's 9 episodes, so there's no way you showed me everything in 9 episodes in 3 minutes.
they showed us one planet, not even another
Yeah,
planet. They showed us one planet. Like, can you imagine like all the other places they're probably going to go?
right.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with you guys for the most part on a lot of this. Like personally, for me, I loved the trailer because I thought it gave really Godfather type guy vibes to it, and I like bringing that different type of storytelling element to Star Wars versus like cookie cutter, like cut it up like Mando, cut it, cookie cutter it that way. It's like I like that a lot, but I can see, even with that being said, like my favorite shot of the thing, I love when Boba said "speak freely." Like that kind of to me was like a whole thing of like basically like, yeah, you can speak freely, but I better like what you have to speak freely about type thing. Um, so like I think that's the type of scene it's going to be for that. But like overall, I do wish there was one shot in there somewhere, like just something at like you said, Chris, at the very end, maybe just a shot of the Sarlacc pit with maybe Boba's like beat up armor laying outside of it or something, like maybe something along those
That would have
lines.
been
Or
cool.
what did you
That
say?
would have been cool because they would have at least confirmed, like, oh yeah, flashbacks. Like you're not seeing anything like mind blowing, but hey, we're gonna have flashbacks for you guys.
Yep. Maybe I mean, hey, maybe the Tusken Raider thing is a flashback, like the scene we discussed earlier. Maybe
Hmm.
that's a flashback to when they get Boba. So maybe it's something along those lines. But yeah, I think it's missing that pop. Like like John Campy always says, when trailers come out, do they basically take your excitement from point A to point B and then push you to point B to point C? Like, does it push you along further? And to me, this trailer basically just keeps us.
Yeah,
We're hyped. We're hyped, but it kind of keeps us at our hype level. Like, I think, like you said, give us a shot like that. Or one thing I've always loved or wanted for the longest time. Like, don't get me wrong, Boba's like, iconic weapon is like his rifle and all that stuff. But I would love for Boba to just whip out a Jango Fett pistol.
Ooh.
Like how cool that would have been if we would have had like a final shot of him like pulling off, like doing a Django thing, going boo boo boo, like shooting with the pistol and then like holstering it like Django did in Attack of the Clones, like something like that. Like, man, you know how hyped people would have instantly connected. Oh my gosh, that's like Django, blah 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 blah. Like, something like that. Like, I would love for Boba to like whip out the old Django pistols and like, give us some prequel blasting, but just something I think would have been really cool. Heck, even a shot of him just using his jetpack, like that would have been cool. But
yeah, that'd been dope.
I don't know. I think the overarching issue with Star Wars, and I mean it's Disney, but since this is a Star Wars podcast, like Star Wars as a whole, in my opinion, is so secretive. I say it almost every week, but they're so secretive about everything. And to me, like, you shouldn't be having things like, look, last week we talked about Hayden Christensen coming back, but it was reported by the Hollywood Reporter and not Star Wars. Like, StarWars.com should be dropping those scoops. Like, that should be Star Wars' stories. But they're so secretive about everything. And it just drives me up the wall. And it bleeds over into all of their marketing. Their marketing is so secretive, so hush-hush. Like, look, we're only 6 weeks away from this show, and we just now got a trailer. Like, it's crazy to think that. But I don't know. I hope Star Wars becomes a little less secretive. Like, would it hurt to show one like 5-second action shot out of a potentially 9-hour show? Like, would it kill them to do that? Like, I don't think it would. So, like, to me, it's just like, come on, Star Wars, like, lighten up. Like, for me, this is like a solid trailer, like an 8 out of 10, I guess, if we had to rate it. But like, it's not a 10 out of 10, like a big pop type trailer. It's like an 8 out of 10. It's solid. It gets you like, oh yeah, cool, Boba's coming out, awesome trailer, but that's about it.
Yeah. Speaking about trailers and secrets and everything revolved around Lucasfilm, I do want to kind of segue into a good topic right off of that, because we have two big stories I want to get to before the end of the episode tonight. And well, you don't expect this stuff to come during like a trailer breakdown week, but it's like, here we are. This is how Star Wars is anymore. It's just nonstop. And well, we got the news from Cinelinx, Jordan Mason over there. He broke a story that we are possibly getting, again, this is a rumor, a report, a Darth Maul series that's set before the events of Solo: A Star Wars Story, which is about 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. So this would probably follow him right after Clone Wars as he runs away from Mandalore. One story I'm going to read specifically verbatim from this certain segment of this article. While they both mentioned Maul, one source specifically mentioned it was a show about his time running Crimson Dawn before Solo: A Star Wars Story. I have even heard Paul Bettany is expected to come back to voice Dryden Voss, a character he's already mentioned he wanted to return to. Off and on for years now, I've heard Lucasfilm has been keen to get some sort of Darth Maul series up and running in live action for various reasons. Cough, Ray Park, cough. However, they've been able to get it going. As such, this new animated series seems to be what they've decided to go with instead. It also lines up with having heard about Crimson Dawn related projects for a while now. An organization I'm sure will continue to pop up in various projects. So there you go. We got another series that's going to be set in between the events of the prequels and the original trilogy. So my initial thoughts, I'll start off on this one, is kind of like, yeah, it's cool. We're getting more Darth Maul, but I'm like, I'm like,
yeah,
maybe get it at a later time. I just feel like with Bad Batch, we're already having a series there. We already had Star Wars Rebels. Like, why don't we'll get that animated series in between Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker or something. I don't know.
Look, I think we all love Darth Maul. We all love Ray Park and Sam Whit. Again, the positive thing is, if this happens, Sam Witwer's coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Sam Witwer as a character, whether it's as a character actor, as a voice actor. He's just dope. But you're right. I think, Chris, you might have said something in the group chat over the week about, they're just beating that timeline to death at this point with this series and whatnot. It's like, I want to see what Luke was doing after Return of the Jedi. Like that. Why can't we explore that period? Why can't we get a 3 or 4 season animation of Luke Skywalker, Han, and Leia post Return of the Jedi. Like, why don't we get that? And why are we going backwards? And that's the thing, like, Star Wars is being weird sometimes. Excuse me, like, why are we still going backwards and telling all these stories all the time? And I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm saying that fine, they're giving us that. However, please give us something that fills in more, that gives us more answers that we've gotten with the sequel trilogy. Because again, personally, I'm not satisfied with the sequel trilogy. Only thing I'm satisfied with the new Star Wars is Mando. I'm sure Book of Boba Fett. I'm sure Ahsoka. Facts. As for this old stuff, I'm so satisfied with it. I don't think I need more. I don't need more of this. Again, I'll watch it because I love Star Wars, but I don't need more of the Darth Maul. His story was completed. I felt like his story was done well. So again, like, let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with all of those points that both you just made. Like, I just don't. I don't know. To me, like, I don't want to sound like cynical, but I guess I will. I guess I will. But like, to me, they don't want to do the stories of Luke, Leia, and Han because, how can I say this? They don't want to. They don't want to. They basically they don't want to. They don't want to make something look better than the sequels. Is basically what
Facts.
It's basically that's basically the best way I can put it. Is they don't want people to go, oh my gosh, this animated Han, Luke, and Leia show is better than what we got in the sequels. Like that's what it is. That's, to me, that's what it is at the end of the day. And I mean, that's what we kind of got. Look, Luke's one scene in Mando was better than all of our old characters in the sequel trilogy, like by far. And I don't get it. Like, why? Like, they're making it way more complicated than they should. Like, to me, it's like so much overthinking. Like, why don't you just give the fans what they like? Like, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people that like the sequels and stuff, but I guarantee you, all those people that like the sequels love that scene of Luke at the end of Mando too.
Facts.
So to me, like, you can do a Luke and Han and Leia, especially because, you know, we're gonna get more of Luke in the Mandoverse. That's a given because Grogu has to come back eventually. And I'm assuming Luke is probably going to be involved in like the massive crossover event. Like, I think that's a given, most likely. But to me, at the end of the day, like, I feel like they're just kind of avoiding those characters because they don't want to basically put shade on the sequels, I guess. So like now it's the whole thing of like, oh, it's like, look at the shiny toy. Look, it's Darth Maul. Everybody loved Darth Maul and what do you call it? Solo. So like, and then in animated shows. But like you said, Milton, his story was complete. Like, I thought his story arc ended. Yeah. I thought it ended perfectly.
I thought it ended perfectly.
I thought it was perfect. We all watched it live when it was on like Disney XD or whatever. Like, we all watched it when it came out, and we thought it was amazing. Whatever. Like, even based on like the way Filoni talked about the show, talked about Darth Maul's circle ending, Sam Witwer talking about it, Ray Park before the issues, like things like that. Like, they talked about Darth Maul's story being complete, and then now it's like, no, it's not complete.
Because here's the thing though, they even added more onto it in those final 4 episodes, I believe, in Clone Wars.
Yeah,
like that even enhanced it more, and it's like, okay, like, perfect, because that Mando or that Rebels ending is perfect, especially how they did him in Clone Wars. I'm like, all right, that makes sense. You know, he got caught, he got away, he went off, went in exile to build up Crimson Dawn, and then boom, like, we saw how things happen. You know how now we never saw his downside when it came to how he lost that, but I don't think that's really relevant. I think we just know he's a tragic character, and we can fill those gaps in ourselves.
I think
he's a Greek tragedy.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I think the only potential draw for this series is maybe we'll finally get the famed Vader versus Maul type deal. Maybe we'll get something like that. Like, I think that's the only, like, that could be like the Ahsoka Vader thing in Rebels season 2. Like, that could be that could be the draw. That's the only draw I could think of. Because anybody else Darth Maul runs into, he's gonna take out because he has the Force and a lightsaber. Like he's gonna wreck people. I mean, God, look, he comes in and wipes out all those Inquisitors in 5 seconds. Like, so any gangsters he runs into, he's gonna be able to take out. So maybe it'll be him versus Vader at some point. But then the whole question lies: why would Vader be at show when it's Darth Maul's like different things he's doing? Like, I don't know. It just, to me,
it makes no sense.
It's almost, what's the word? Like shoehorned in. Like you're shoehorning it. You're shoehorning in because it's popular right now. Like that was my concern in Mando season 2 going into it was, are we gonna get from Mando season 1 all this excitement over Grogu? Is it gonna be the whole thing of like, okay, guys, like it's the old SpongeBob episode. Oh, our people love SpongeBob. We're going to do SpongeBob napkins, SpongeBob patties, SpongeBob drinks, SpongeBob tables, SpongeBob rides. Like, are we going to get Grogu? And we didn't. Mando season 2 balanced Grogu perfectly. And now it's like, it feels like Darth Maul is the SpongeBob where it's like, okay, you guys like Darth Maul, so we're going to give you a lot of extra Darth Maul. And we're going to give you a show about him. And to me, it's not worth telling as a story. And where's our Anakin and Obi-Wan show that's between episodes 1 and 2? That's what I'm
seriously
like. Give me that. And I don't care about a Darth Maul show. Like I'll watch it, but give me an Anakin Obi-Wan animated show with James Arnold Taylor.
Give us Palpatine, bro. Give us Darth Plagueis. I mean, like, I just started listening to Darth Plagueis audiobook again, dude. Yeah. That book is so good. I never get bored with that. Like, it's like, give us that. Like, again, you can tell Old Republic. You can tell all those stories. So if you want to go in the past, tell all of them. Tell the Old Republic stories.
You know what? Let's talk about it, man, because that's actually next on the list. We literally got a rumor like 20 minutes before we were going to record tonight. And this went out earlier. There was like this report that came from somewhere saying like, hey, there's going to be a film in 2023. And like literally less than a day later, a few hours later, we get confirmation from Star Wars Newsnet. They have one of their sources saying it's going to be an Old Republic movie. So there's a little bit of a pushback for the Rogue Squadron movie is going to now move to 2024 with the Old Republic movie for 2023. That is so soon. Like to just literally like that's 2 years away. That's right. 2 years away. We have no knowledge of like who's in charge, who's writing it, any of the creative team that's involved. It's like, wow, Star Wars doesn't usually we know about movies like 5 years in advance.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe this is what Ben's talking about though. And this is where I know Ben, you're probably thinking it right now. You just said it. Like, this is what pisses you off about Star Wars. Why is it that Star Wars Newsnet is releasing that? If that's even true.
Yeah.
One, like you said, Chris, we don't know who the creative team is, the writer, the director, cast, and again, and he said 2023.
Yeah.
Okay, so now if that's the case, the movie should be filming in 2022.
Well, here's
you know what I'm saying. So it's like, what are you like? Why do we not know?
Here's your tie-in, Milton. The article I sent prior in the chat, though, Chris, that Hollywood Reporter reported, there's an unnamed Star Wars movie starting to film this coming year. So what is that? And the director of it is J.D. Dillard, I believe the guy's name was.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if he's doing it or who knows. I mean, we don't know if he's.
But if that's the case, though, they would have still would have released that to the fans. Say at least 6 months ago. Say, hey, by the way, we do have an untitled Star Wars film coming in 2023. Here's the director. Here's some of our cast, and we'll be making an announcement. We haven't gotten anything until I didn't know about this until you guys sent it in the chat, and it's like,
it has to.
Why are you guys being stupid? Like honestly, if they said, okay, in 2023, we have a huge surprise for you guys. We're giving you something that you've always wanted over the last 20 years, and they come out and it just was a reveal. Like they released a video game, Star Wars, the Old Republic, and like that gold lettering. Bro, how hype would that effing be?
Oh, man.
Like I'd be that person. Be like, let's mother effing go, because I want to see that Sith war with the Jedi Knights and how that shit went down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Like,
completely agree, and that's exactly what. See, you read my mind, Milton, like a Jedi.
Yeah.
you know what I'm
But
saying? Like,
it's so predictable because now watch, just because this leaks, and got reported, it would not surprise me if they squeeze in an announcement, if it was planned or not. I'm not sure, but watch them
Monday
squeeze in
morning, 9 o'clock.
to
Boom.
either
StarWars.com. Breaking news.
yeah, breaking exclusive. That'll be the headline.
yeah,
Um, or they'll announce it on Disney Plus Day just to,
just yeah.
hype everything up more.
But that doesn't make any
You know,
sense because it's not gonna be, if it's a movie, it wouldn't be on Disney Plus, right? Unless it's a
that's
Disney
what I'm
Plus
saying.
movie.
Like,
I
maybe
they're
don't
gonna
expect
release
that.
that.
Maybe they do an exclusive.
Maybe, but here's the thing though. Look, I'll watch it on this. Well, no, I ain't paying for it. That's too expensive. I'd rather go to the theater. I'll be honest with you. But
Yeah.
my thing is though, it's the Old Republic. Everybody in their grandmammy wants to see that movie
Yeah.
or that particular trilogy.
Yeah.
We love the video games. Hell, didn't they just announce? Was it a couple months ago they're going to redo the
Yeah,
original
they're
Old Republic
remaking the game.
game?
And here's the thing.
And how
If they,
how hype were we for that?
Yeah, and that's a
and this
game.
would be perfect. The reason why I'm thinking that this could actually be true because they announced that game. The games usually take 2 to 3 years to make. Hey, that's 2023 at the earliest this game could come out. That's perfect promotion. They put the game out, be like, hey, you want to familiarize yourself with the Old Republic? Put the game out 3-4 months beforehand. Play through the game, you'll get the backstory, and then you get to see the movie. Like, what kind of good
Yeah.
promotion with that marketing would be perfect for that?
Facts. Like honestly, that will force me to buy a PS5 because I know it's gonna come out on PS5 when they do
Yep.
Knights of the Old
Yep.
Republic. Like honestly, how dope would it? Think about it. We know the characters from that whole time period. Revan, Bastila, Satele. Like who's the guy? Who's the cowboy in that? He's got like the whole Han Solo type with the cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Like I want to see him.
That
Like,
guy.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
What is his
you know what I'm
name?
saying? Darth Malgus. Is that what his name is? Malgus is like the pasty looking Darth with
Yeah,
the mask
yeah,
on later.
yeah.
Like I want to see all those guys. Like that'd be tough.
Yeah,
We
I
know
mean,
those characters. Like give us son. Like oh my god, I'm getting hyped to talk about it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, like, it's bad though. Look, we're a Star Wars YouTube podcast, and we're talking about it before the actual property is. Like, why? Why? And I say it every week. Like, not to dog on people's content creation, but Star Wars should, if you want to do this, this would enhance the Star Wars show on Star Wars' YouTube channel tenfold. Like, why not make these announcements? Do a 15-minute Star Wars show on the Star Wars YouTube channel, making this announcement about the Old Republic movie. Why not? Like, if you're gonna just let it get leaked, why not just get out ahead of it and do it yourself? Like, I don't get it. Like, and then like the Star Wars YouTube channel. I mean, they just put out junk half the time.
Yeah.
Like,
But you're right.
like,
You're right. Though.
honestly,
It will build up credibility because
they
honestly,
build
like,
up
I
credibility.
rather go like if I'm look, you guys know we all have jobs, have our lives going on. But if I'm working all day and I see someone on YouTube saying, "Hey, via StarWars.com or via YouTube Star Wars YouTube channel, this was released," then I know okay, they're officially making this, and
Yeah.
I'll watch the off-brand channel first about their review of it. Then I'm going to StarWars.com or YouTube and say, okay, I'm gonna watch how they present it. Because that's going to build it up to okay, they really are doing this. Like they need to start utilizing their own particular. You have all those followers for nothing.
Well, Milton, like I was talking about this to one of my good friends just a couple days ago. I go to channels like ours, or like our podcast, like Outer Rim Transmission, or I go to people like Star Wars Theory or John Campia or Star Wars Newsnet or Star Wars Explained or any of these Star Wars Mag, all these other Star Wars channels. I go to. Okay, so if you have like a
before you finish that, do not go to Mike Zero. Just
yeah,
saying.
no, he's definitely he's definitely tabloids. He's tabloids,
facts.
but anyways, he's genius at marketing though. I can give him that. But anyways, like if you have like a power ranking of Star Wars YouTube channels, like Star Wars's channel is probably not even in the top 10 of Star Wars YouTube channels I would go to look for Star Wars information.
Yeah.
And that's so stupid of me to say that because because I shouldn't be saying Star Wars' YouTube channel or their sources or their resources aren't good, but they're not. They don't give out information. So it's like, come on, Star Wars, get out ahead of this stuff. Because like you said, Chris, watch Monday morning, exclusive Old Republic movie announced on StarWars.com.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I already knew that.
I've heard about it 48 hours ago.
Yeah.
Starrapter reported it already.
Yeah, Starrapter exclusive.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the truth though. Like, but it's true. Like I mean, in no disrespect, but like, I shouldn't have to be hearing this from Starrapter or Jason Ward or John Campia or Star Wars Theory or whomever, you know, Joe Blow from, you know, Kentucky. You feel me? Like, I shouldn't have to get it from them first. I should get it from the Star Wars website or the Star Wars channel. Like, they're the ones I want to be able to hear that mom and dad are actually officially giving us the go ahead.
Yeah, right. Because
like,
there's
I ain't
always
trying to get it from my cousins.
There's always that grain of salt where like, it's not officially Star Wars. This is actually gonna happen, but you get it from them.
Yeah.
It's like, but you know, they cancel stuff anyway too. So even from them, sometimes it never comes to fruition.
You ain't lying. but at least they make an announcement though.
Yeah, see, because it comes back to the C word, commitment. They don't want to commit to anything. And, you know, funny thing is, fun fact for all you Star Wars historians out there, go to Twitter sometime, type in @Star Wars, and then type in George Lucas scripts, I believe is what it is. But you can type in Michael Arndt, and then @Star Wars, and it'll pull, and it's crazy because it pulls up the official tweet from like 2013 or 2014 where Star Wars made the announcement that they were going to do the George Lucas sequel scripts. And then the article, you know, it's a dead article. But look, I mean, they made that announcement years ago and it never panned out. Like, it's because Star Wars doesn't want to commit to anything. This has been an ongoing track record.
And that goes back to what I was saying. There's no plan over there at Disney. I've been saying it since day one.
Yep.
Like, how again, we get that's another podcast for another day. But again, everything we're saying here, guys, please don't take it that we're being negative all the time. Because we're like this because we love the property so much. That's why. You know, we want Star Wars to be we want Star Wars to take hold of their own property and be in command of it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Another thing, well, Chris, I don't think with me and Milton on board, I don't think we're getting any free press trips to the Star Cruiser anytime soon.
No, I'll still take. Look, I'll still go if they're gonna offer your boy. But if it's trash, I'm gonna let you know. I know. It's just I don't know. Like,
to me, it's just disappointing because then under the exact same umbrella, we know what's happening with Marvel for like the next 4 years.
Yes.
Like
that there tells you that it works if you just put it out there. Like, did you remember when Civil War came out, or when he announced Civil War?
Whatever.
He did the map because it was called like Serpent Society at first or whatever, and how Kevin Feige said, okay, we got this movie coming out. And he talked about each character and pretty much the synopsis of what it was going to lead into in the next phase. And he had Infinity Part 1 or what do you call it? Part 1 and Part 2. We didn't have the titles yet or whatever the movies. Dude, how dope was that? Because we were just like, oh my God, I cannot wait.
Yeah,
like,
what's this mean? What's that mean?
What's that mean? People were doing the speculation videos. Like that, and the marketing built up, and every movie that came out, we're like, okay, like we loved how he got us prepared for it. Star Wars can do the same damn thing. Like, that's why we need Kevin Feige to take over.
I just thought...
There's so much... to me, the problem is there's so much reactionary... Like, Star Wars is such a company. They're so reactionary to whatever the outrage is on Twitter. They're like, oh no, social media says this, and they're mad about this. Let's go the opposite. You know?
That's stupid.
And you can't... It's the whole... You know, like we say, like with the sports sayings, like... You know, if you listen to the fans, you're going to end up sitting in the stands with the fans. Like if you give in to every little thing, every little iota, you're never going to succeed. And sure, Star Wars is making money, but they're all over the place. Like the plan. My problem is, like you said, Milton, the overarching plan is the issue. Like you need to lay out a roadmap, commit to it, and to me, even if it's something fans may be displeased with, like. Say if they announce a roadmap for the next 4 years and people are like, crap. If I'm Star Wars, I don't care. Make it and make quality products. And then when you make quality products, people will be like, oh man, even though we weren't sure about it at first, it
Mhm.
turned out to be great. It turned out to be great. So like they need to me, like they're just Star Wars is lacking confidence, in my opinion. Like it's an organizational they're missing confidence.
Yeah, so real quick about the creative team, I
Yeah.
was thinking about this. David Benioff and DB Weiss, they were rumored to be working on something. Well, not even rumored. They were confirmed on Star Wars' own website to be like, they're penning the scripts and something for something. Maybe this was the drafts of their. People kept saying, oh, maybe they're doing an Old Republic movie, right? So maybe the reason why this is coming out of nowhere is they like brought back those scripts and they doctored them up a little bit for whoever's in charge,
Yep.
kind of tweak some things here and there. So like they already have like a large amount of the work done. So they're like, you know what? Let's let's capitalize off the Old Republic game. We'll push that up. We'll put Rogue Squadron back a little bit, and that's what I'm thinking at least.
Yeah. I know that's kind of what like Jason Ward was speculating a little bit about on like maybe they just kind of revamped the script for the Game of Thrones guys stuff into this. I mean, hey, it's kind of going in reverse since this is a movie. I mean, it's pretty much what it sounded like. That's what happened with the Kenobi show. Like it was a
Mhm.
movie first, then got translated into a show. So maybe it's kind of going in reverse where this was going to be like a thing with the Game of Thrones guys, and now it's turning into just one movie. So maybe it's going to be the start of that. And I'd be totally fine if we start in an era of Old Republic stuff. Like that would be great, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, I was trying to look up the article real fast. I think Star Wars probably pulled it when they exited their
Surprise,
role.
surprise.
Mhm.
So
I
I
mean,
because
maybe they're gonna talk about that Ryan Johnson trilogy that's coming. I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's important. Who knows? Like
Yeah,
I
I
just
mean,
oh God, Star Wars. I love you, but you irritate me.
yeah, I mean, Star Wars does they do scrub information they do not want. I mean, look, the Phantom announcement for the Lego game on their YouTube channel, and then it was gone.
oh
Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
within like a minute
like
or two.
yeah, I was gonna say they totally scrubbed out the announcement for the Lego game a couple years ago. Like, to me, it's just like they can't commit, and I just hope we're sitting here talking about how excited we are for an Old Republic movie and stuff. But in the next 72 hours, it could totally change the way Star Wars goes. Like, I don't know. I hate sounding skeptical when it comes to Star Wars announcements, but it's so hard because they're so inconsistent. Like, you mentioned earlier, Milton, it wasn't even rumored. They straight up announced the Josh Trank Boba Fett movie. That was like
Yes.
that was at like a
That was
Comic Con
at
or
a
something.
convention.
Like,
That was
that
a
was
Comic Con
or
or something.
might have been Star Wars Celebration.
It might have been
Like
because they announced Rogue One, the Josh Trank
Josh
movie,
Trank. Yep.
and something else.
Yeah.
Because
So
I was
like
hyped about the Josh Trank thing.
yeah. So like maybe I mean there was that. I mean heck there was the Josh Trank stuff. Then there was the talk about the Logan director taking over for the Boba Fett movie.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Mangold,
Yeah.
him, and then now it's a show. Like there's so many inconsistencies. Like don't get me wrong, I'm glad the Boba thing turned into being a show, but at the end of the day, I just want Star Wars to commit to something. Like even okay, if you don't want to give us a 5-year map, give us like a 2-year map of 2022 and 2023. Like
Yeah.
that's all we need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, there you have it. We not only did we break down a trailer, but we talked about two big rumors, both an animated series and a movie. Real quick, because I do want to put this out there before we close down shop on this week's episode. We did get an announcement from Star Wars Books Del Rey that they are continuing the Essential Legends collection books. And they are going to be out in April. Wouldn't you know, we got a Kenobi redesign of the cover just in time for the series. We also have Darth Plagueis. Very interesting there. We have Rogue Squadron, Wedge's Gamble, and that's also got the new unabridged audiobook format. And we get the final book in the trilogy of Darth Bane, Dynasty of Evil. So take what you will with a grain of salt, but it looks like all these books that they've been putting out are related to future projects in some way, shape, or form. So Maybe we're gonna finally get a Palpatine series down the line. They're just preparing for people to read the books. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a potential for that. Um, well, if this turns out to be true about that movie shooting next year, maybe, a movie shooting, shoots for a movie can last, 3 to 5 months or so, give or take. Like maybe when these books come out, maybe a month later, maybe after Star Wars Celebration, they announce like, hey, this starting June, whatever, we're gonna start shooting the Old Republic movie. Boom, there we go. Like maybe it's something along those lines.
Yeah.
To build off. It's just like you said, it all adds up to the overall like marketing, and it's related to future projects. We know Kenobi's coming right around that time slot for Celebration as well. So yeah, I mean we're getting closer, and it's only a matter of time, really.
Heck yeah. So wrapping things up, that's going to do it for me here on youtube.com. This week you could check out my review for the Eternals. Yes, I know it's the spicy topic in the community these days, as either people love it or people think it could be the worst Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. So you can check that out at youtube.com Starrapter. Also, if you are watching this, go ahead and give us a listen. If you are on your way back and forth from work, you can also listen to us on any of your podcast streaming networks. Just search Outer Rim Transmission. Same could be said if you're an audio listener. This is definitely a good reason to watch us, because we actually were having images on this week's show. So we had nice images to what we were talking about for our Book of Boba Fett discussion and breakdown, and we did an audible and had some comic book pages in there as well. So if that's your sort of thing, check us out on YouTube, and please give us a subscribe as well. That'd be greatly appreciated. And do not forget, you can also buy t-shirts on our t-shirt site, teespring.com. Just search Outer Rim Transmission and you'll find our designs there. So do you guys have anything to part with for our listeners and viewers this week?
Just the normal. You can find me at Real Ben Maynard everywhere. Just go to Twitter and look at my pinned comment. It has my Instagram link, our podcast link, and all the other places you can find me.
Yeah, just follow me at my Twitter at Milton Weber 7. Again, I'm on there either talking some sports or retweeting some Star Wars stuff. Again, we appreciate you guys listening and watching the show each week.
So there you have it. For Milton, for Ben, for Starrapter, thank you for watching. This was Outer Rim Transmission number 30.